Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes your source material and really tries to cut through all the noise, right down to the core insights.
Yeah, finding what really matters.
And today, we're wrestling with something pretty profound. This idea that maybe the suffering, the constant self-judgment many of us feel, isn't just how things are.
Right. It's this notion that it might actually be a kind of sophisticated, self-imposed psychological prison.
A prison we build ourselves.
Exactly. But that also means there's a way out. It's a radically hopeful idea, actually, when you think about it.
Hopeful how?
Well, the core Toltec perspective we're explaining today suggests that most of our mental pain, the guilt, the anxiety, that feeling of I'm not good enough, it's mostly generated inside us.
Fueled by what?
Fueled by agreements. Agreements we made often decades ago without even realizing it.
So personal freedom isn't about, changing the world outside.
Not primarily, no. It's presented as an internal liberation. And it's accessible through a really clear set of guidelines.
Okay, let's unpack this blueprint for freedom then. We're diving into Don Miguel Ruiz's, it's a modern classic now, isn't it? The Four Agreements.
It really is. It translates this essential Toltec wisdom in a way that, makes sense today.
We hear that name Toltec quite a bit. Were they philosophers?
Mm-hmm.
Or something else?
Well, they weren't just thinkers. Throughout southern Mexico, they were known as women and men of knowledge. That was the term.
Knowledge workers, almost.
Sort of, yeah. Think pragmatic scientists and artists. They gathered at Teotihuacan, that amazing ancient city.
Which means the place where man becomes God. That's powerful.
Incredibly powerful. They saw their work almost like a spiritual technology. A deep, applied understanding of human energy, perception, how it all works.
So this isn't just ancient history or mythology we're talking about?
Not in the way Ruiz presents it. It's framed more like an ancient applied science, a body of knowledge.
And this knowledge is kept secret for a long time.
Yes, for millennia, apparently. It was seen as incredibly potent, so it was guarded, concealed by the masters, the Naguals.
Naguals, okay.
They were responsible for passing it down secretly through specific lineages. Ruiz himself comes from the Eagle Knight lineage.
And the idea is that only now is this wisdom being shared more widely.
That's the claim in the source material, yeah. That we're in a kind of new age of awareness where this can be understood and, more importantly, used.
Okay. So that gives us our mission for this deep dive. We need to meticulously extract and really explore these four powerful agreements.
See them as a practical, actionable guide.
Right. The goal being to help you break free from what Ruiz calls the dream of the planet. So, to get how freedom works, we first need to grasp how the prison, as you called it, gets built. And that starts with the Toltec view of reality itself.
It does. It goes back to a foundational story, actually, about the smoky mirror.
The smoky mirror. Tell us about that.
Well, the story goes, there was this human, sort of like us, who studied himself. And he came to this profound realization. The entire universe is just a manifestation of one single living being.
God, life, something like that.
All of the above. God, life, intent, different words for the same thing. Everything is interconnected energy. It's all light.
Okay, light. How did he break that down?
He saw two components. First, there's the tonal. That's the physical stuff. Matter, the stars, our bodies, everything we can touch and measure.
Right, the tangible world.
And the second component, that's the Nagual.
The Nagual.
That's the space between the stars, the space between atoms. It's intent itself, pure light, the invisible force or energy that gives structure to the tonal. It's life.
So the core insight was what?
That human perception is simply light perceiving light. We are literally made of starlight and the space between the stars. Our fundamental nature is pure love, pure light expressing itself.
That's a really beautiful way to think about it. But if we're pure light, why did this person call himself the smoky mirror? Where does the smoke come in?
Ah, that's the crucial part. He realized that while reality, matter, is a mirror reflecting this light, our everyday perception, the world of illusion we live in, acts like smoke.
Smoke that obscures the reflection.
Exactly. It prevents us from seeing our true nature. We've created this false world, this dream, built from all the lies and agreements stored in our minds. And this smoke, it blinds us to the truth that we are pure light and love.
And we're constantly dreaming, even now.
According to this view, yes. The mind is dreaming 24/7, awake or asleep.
So if my individual mind is always dreaming, then this dream of the planet you mentioned,
Yeah.
that's the collective dream.
Precisely. It's the shared hallucination of society, this massive overlapping structure of rules, beliefs, laws, religions, governments, cultures, all of it.
The way things are.
The way things seem to be in our particular corner of the world, this outside dream is already running full steam before we're even born. It's the instruction manual for how to be a functional human in this specific society.
And how does society get this instruction set into us? There's a term for that, right?
Yes, domestication. It's a strong word, but it's used deliberately.
Domestication. Like training an animal.
The process described is strikingly similar. The outside dream uses the adults already in the system, parents, teachers, religious leaders, to capture and control the child's attention.
Attention is the key.
Attention is the mechanism for learning, for downloading the program. Adults use repetition, focused energy, rewards, punishments to introduce all the rules.
Rules about what's right, what's wrong.
What's beautiful, what's ugly, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable in this specific dream.
Okay, it really does sound like training a dog or cat. How does the system make sure the child actually internalizes all this?
Through a very effective system of punishment and reward. It's classical conditioning, essentially.
So if I follow the rules, I act good.
You get the reward. And the primary reward, especially early on, is attention, approval, love, or what passes for it.
And if I break the rules...
You're bad. You get punished. Maybe disapproval, maybe withdrawal of attention, maybe worse. This creates a deep psychological pattern.
A need for attention.
A powerful need to hook other people's attention, to feel validated, to feel safe. And this, Ruiz argues, quickly becomes competitive. We start vying for that attention, that approval.
But here's the really critical point, the psychological switch, isn't it? We learned everything this way, through agreement.
This is the core of the problem, yes. It's tragic in a way. We never consciously chose our native language, our cultural norms, even many of our deepest moral values. They were just downloaded.
Imposed on us.
Right. And the only way the mind can store this overwhelming flood of information is by making an agreement to accept it as truth.
An agreement. Like signing a contract.
Mentally, yes.
Yeah.
And this agreement is fundamentally based on faith, unconditional belief. It doesn't matter if the information is true or rational or good for us. We just agree.
Why did we agree, though? Even as kids, didn't we resist sometimes?
Of course. Kids rebel, but think about it as a small child. You lack the personal power, the strength to win a sustained war against the powerful adults in your world. So eventually you surrender. You make the agreement, even if part of you knows it's wrong.
And the consequence of that constant fear of punishment, fear of rejection, is devastating, isn't it? We start to abandon our authentic selves.
We start to pretend. We create a mask, a persona, something designed to be acceptable, to be good enough to get the reward and avoid the punishment.
So we become a sort of copy.
A living, breathing copy of societal expectations. Ruiz uses this image of a Frankenstein's monster cobbled together from mom's beliefs, dad's beliefs, the church's rules, what we see on TV.
And in that process, our own innate integrity, our wildness, gets broken.
It gets suppressed, yeah. Replaced by the fear of not fitting in, the fear of being rejected.
Okay, so once we've been thoroughly domesticated by the outside world, we kind of take over the job ourselves, don't we? There's a term for that, too.
Auto-domestication.
Sure.
Self-domestication. It's like the trainers can leave because the animal now trains itself.
How does that work?
We internalize the entire mechanism. All those beliefs, rules, moral codes, and agreements we swallowed, they become our internal framework. Ruiz calls it the book of law.
Our personal rule book.
Exactly. And it rules our mind, absolutely. We become our own domesticator, our own taskmaster, using the exact same system of self-punishment and self-reward that we learned as children.
And this is where, well, a lot of modern anxiety seems to live. Right?
Yeah.
In the characters that emerge from this internalization. Let's talk about the judge and the victim.
Right. These are the two key players in our internal drama. The judge is that internalized voice of authority. It's got the book of law memorized.
And it's constantly policing us.
Constantly. Every thought, every action, every feeling gets compared against the book of law. And if you violate an agreement, even a tiny one, bang, the judge declares you guilty. You failed. You deserve punishment, which is usually shame.
And then comes the victim.
The victim is the part of us that receives the judgment. It absorbs the guilt, the shame. It internalizes it.
Leading to that feeling of
self-pity, self-loathing, that toxic inner monologue. Poor me. I'm not good enough. I'll never be worthy of love. I always mess things up.
And the source material makes this really shocking claim here, that something like 95% of the beliefs stored in that book of law, they're just lies.
Yeah, it's a staggering percentage. Most of the rules we use to condemn ourselves aren't even based on objective truth, just on agreements we made, often based on other people's lies or limited perspectives. Yet we suffer terribly because we believe them unconditionally.
Think about the injustice of that. It's profound.
It really is. Ruiz contrasts it with real-world justice. If you make a mistake, maybe you pay a fine, serve a sentence, whatever you pay once, and it's supposed to be over.
But not in our minds.
No. Because we have this powerful memory and this relentless internal judge, we pay thousands of times for the same mistake. Every single time we remember that past error.
The judge pulls up the file.
Declares us guilty again, and the victim feels that same wave of shame and pain all over again. It's continuous, self-inflicted psychological torture.
It genuinely sounds less like living life and more like living in a self-created hell.
That is precisely the Toltec observation, yes. The collective dream, the dominant atmosphere on the planet, is ruled by fear. And fear inevitably generates suffering, emotional drama, anger, blame, injustice.
So hell isn't necessarily a place you go after you die.
It's described as a state of mind right now, a place of fear, pain, and suffering generated by these negative emotions. Anger, jealousy, envy, hate. When we let those rule our minds, fueled by our agreements, we are already living in a dream of hell. And we often make it worse for ourselves and others.
And when all those conflicting voices, the rules, the judgments, the anxieties, the shoulds and shouldn'ts are all firing off at once inside, the mind just descends into chaos, doesn't it? There's a name for that too.
The mitote, pronounced mitote.
Mitote.
It means the fog, the chaos of the mind. Think of it like 1,000 different radio stations playing simultaneously in your head. Or maybe a better modern analogy is like a giant, messy marketplace with everyone shouting at once.
Or a social media feed gone wild inside your skull.
Exactly. Hundreds of conflicting voices, beliefs, old agreements, fears, desires, all battling for attention. The mind is so busy with this internal chatter, fighting the judge, comforting the victim, juggling all these beliefs, that we literally can't see clearly. We can't perceive reality as it is.
It's the smoke in the smoky mirror.
Precisely. It's also referred to sometimes as Maya, the illusion.
And this mitote, this internal chaos, it feeds directly into the perfection trap, right?
Yes, because we're so desperate to avoid the judge's punishment, to finally feel good enough, we create this impossible, idealized image of perfection, who we think we should be.
The perfect parent, the perfect employee, the perfect body.
All of it. But of course, no real human can ever fit this flawless, airbrushed image, so we inevitably fail.
And the judge comes crashing down.
Slams us with guilt and punishment, which triggers immense self-rejection. We reject ourselves for not meeting this impossible standard that we created.
And the source says something really chilling here, that the level of self-rejection we have dictates the level of abuse we'll tolerate from other people.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it? The core idea is that no one abuses us more consistently, more relentlessly, than we abuse ourselves through the judge and the victim.
The judge is the worst judge imaginable.
Absolutely ruthless. So the logic goes, if someone outside abuses us, but it's slightly less painful than our own constant self-abuse,
Sure.
We accept it, we stay, we think, well, this is uncomfortable, but it's kind of normal, maybe I deserve it, this is my limit.
Wow. So if we could stop abusing ourselves,
Our tolerance for external abuse would plummet. We'd recognize it instantly for what it is and refuse to participate.
it sounds like just managing this internal prison, the judge, the victim, the book of law, the mitote, takes up almost all our energy.
That's exactly the point Ruiz makes. Our personal power, our life force, our daily energetic vitality.
Yeah.
First, a huge chunk of it goes into creating this whole complex web of fear-based agreements in the first place. And then the rest of our energy is spent just maintaining it, fueling the constant internal war between the judge and the victim, keeping the whole dysfunctional system running. We're exhausted before we even start the day.
So the path to freedom, the way out of the prison, has to involve finding the courage,
Yeah.
the power, to actually break those fundamental fear-based agreements.
That is the absolute key. Every single time you successfully identify and break an old, limiting, fear-based agreement, you reclaim the personal power that was tied up in maintaining it.
Power comes back to you.
Yes. And the four agreements themselves are presented as new, powerful, life-affirming agreements. By consciously choosing to adopt these, you start to generate enough personal power to dismantle the entire old system.
To essentially overwrite the old program.
Exactly, to consciously choose to exchange the dream of hell for your own personal dream of heaven.
Okay, let's get practical then. Let's move into the agreements themselves. The first one. It's called the most important, but also the most difficult. Be impeccable with your word.
Yes, this one really underpins everything else. And the reason it's so powerful and so difficult is because the Toltec view of the word is incredibly expansive.
It's not just about speaking.
Not at all. The word isn't just sound waves, it's seen as pure creative energy, a gift directly from God or life or whatever term you use.
The power to express, communicate, think even.
And crucially, the power to create our reality. Think about the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word is presented as the primary tool of manifestation.
Wow. So it's like magic.
It is the most powerful tool of magic we possess, according to this teaching. It can create the most beautiful dream, or it can destroy everything around us.
And if we misuse this power, this magic, that's black magic.
Absolutely. Using the word to spread fear, hate, judgment, that's black magic. Being impeccable with your word is white magic. Using it to create love, truth, beauty.
Mind is like fertile ground then.
Exactly. Waiting to receive seeds. Our words are the seeds. If we plant seeds of fear, doubt, negativity, self-rejection, that's the harvest we'll get. Suffering.
So the word can set us free.
Or it can be the chain that enslaves us and those we interact with.
The book gives a pretty stark example, doesn't it? Hitler.
Yes, a dramatic, large-scale example. He used the power of his word to activate the latent fear and hatred in millions, manipulating an entire country, an entire continent towards horrific atrocity. He planted seeds of fear on a massive scale.
And we do this on a smaller scale.
Constantly, every day. The word is described as a spell. When we share a negative opinion, when we judge someone out loud, that person is stupid, you'll never amount to anything, she looks terrible today. We're casting a spell.
And if the person listening agrees with the spell,
if they take it in, make an internal agreement with it, boom, the spell takes root. A toxic seed is planted in that fertile ground of their mind. They start living under the influence of that negative belief.
And the only way to break it is
with a new agreement. A counterspell, hopefully one based on truth and self-love.
And the most common, maybe the most insidious form of this verbal black magic is gossip.
Oh, absolutely. Gossip is called pure, unchecked poison in the text. It's become such a dominant form of communication, hasn't it?
Why do we do it so much?
Well, the book suggests misery loves company. Sharing negative stories about others can make us feel temporarily better about our own perceived flaws or unhappiness. It validates our own suffering if we see others suffering too.
It creates a kind of bond, but a toxic one.
Exactly. And Ruiz uses this really powerful analogy. Gossip is like a computer virus for the human mind.
A computer virus, how so?
Think about it. Harmful code enters the program, the mind's operating system. It messes up the logic, confuses the information, breaks down clear communication, and generally just spreads chaos and misunderstanding.
It spreads the fog, the matote.
Precisely. We get infected by gossip, often without realizing it, and then we become carriers, spreading that emotional contamination further. It pulls the whole collective dream down into more fear and confusion.
But it's not just about poisoning others, is it? We're often the primary target of our own black magic.
Without a doubt. The worst, most frequent abuse many of us inflict is on ourselves, through our negative self-talk.
I'm so stupid. I always mess things up. I can't do this.
Exactly. Every time you say something like that to yourself, you're administering a dose of black magic. You're using your divine creative power against the most important creation in your life, which is you.
Okay, so if the word has this incredible power, for good or ill, let's get really clear on impeccable. It comes from Latin, impeccatus, meaning without sin.
Right. And we need the Toltec definition of sin here. A sin isn't about breaking some external religious rule. A sin is anything you do that goes against yourself.
Anything that harms you or denies your own truth.
Yes. Therefore, self-rejection, which is usually fueled by harsh self-criticism and negative self-talk, is the biggest sin of all. The mortal sin, you could say.
So being impeccable means using your word only in the direction of truth and love for yourself.
That's the core of it. Using your creative energy to support your own well-being, your own truth, your own love.
Let me push on that a bit. What if someone genuinely hurts me and I use my words to criticize them, to express my anger? Isn't that speaking my truth? Isn't that impeccable?
That's a great question. The test of impeccability, according to Ruiz, is about where the energy ultimately lands and what it creates. If I use my word to send emotional poison to you, to blame you, shame you, make you feel bad, make you hate me, what happens?
Well, it might feel good for a second, but then...
Then that energy comes right back at me, doesn't it? Maybe as your anger, your resentment, or maybe as my own guilt or the lingering negativity in our relationship. So ultimately, I use my word against myself because it created more suffering.
Okay, so even in difficult conversations.
If I truly love myself, if I'm being impeccable, I'll strive to express my truth, even my anger or hurt, in a way that aims for understanding and resolution, not just poisoning the other person. Because expressing love and seeking truth ultimately produces a positive reaction, both within me and, hopefully, in the interaction.
So impeccability isn't about being nice or suppressing negative feelings. It's about the direction and intent of the energy.
It's the correct, life-affirming use of your creative energy. And when you commit to being impeccable, something amazing happens. You start to cleanse the emotional poison from your own system because you stop generating it yourself. And you also gain a kind of immunity against negative spells coming from others. When your own mind stops being fertile ground for self-abuse and negativity, the seeds of gossip or insult thrown by others just don't take root. They have nothing to attach to.
Okay, that makes sense. Being impeccable with your word cleans up your output. And that seems to lead directly into the second agreement. Don't take anything personally.
It flows very naturally, yes.
The source calls taking things personally the maximum expression of selfishness, which sounds kind of harsh and maybe counterintuitive. Selfishness.
It does sound harsh at first, but it's a really profound reframing. Think about why we take things personally. It's based on the underlying assumption that everything that happens out there, everything someone says or does, every opinion they offer, it's somehow specifically about me.
We make ourselves the center of their universe.
Exactly. It's the ultimate act of personal importance, of assuming it's all about me. It's a massive projection that centers your entire reality, your entire sense of self-worth on the actions and words of other people.
Whereas the truth is?
The truth, according to this view, is that absolutely nothing anyone else does is ever because of you. It is always, always because of themselves.
They're living in their own dream, playing out their own movie.
Precisely. They operate according to their agreements, their book of law, their fears, their desires, whatever they say, whatever opinion they share is just a reflection of the movie playing inside their head. It literally has nothing to do with your reality unless you choose to make it so.
So if someone walks up and insults me,
they are simply projecting their own internal state. If they're carrying around anger or judgment or poison, they're looking for somewhere to dump it.
Yeah.
Their insult reflects their internal world, their judge and victim drama, not objective truth about you.
And if I take that insult personally, if I feel offended or hurt,
you are essentially saying, yes, I agree with your poison, let me drink it. You're ingesting their emotional garbage into your own system. You're making their problem your problem.
Wow. Okay, so the gift of this agreement, not taking things personally, is immunity.
Total immunity to emotional poison. Even if you're standing right in the middle of hell, as Ruiz puts it, a toxic environment, a conflict-ridden family, a difficult workplace, if you genuinely don't take the negativity personally, it cannot touch you.
It remains their garbage.
It stays with them. If you don't eat it, it's not yours. But the moment you take offense, what happens?
You feel attacked, you get defensive.
You feel the need to protect your beliefs, to prove you're right and they're wrong. You expend enormous amounts of energy defending yourself, and suddenly you're caught in this huge emotional drama, often over something completely trivial, all because you made it about you.
What about positive things, though, like praise? If someone tells me I'm brilliant or I did a great job, shouldn't I take that personally? Doesn't that feel good?
It feels good, yes, but the agreement applies equally. If you take the praise personally, if you need it to feel good about yourself, then you are just as vulnerable to the criticism when it comes.
Ah, a package deal.
Exactly. Their positive opinion is just as much a reflection of their dream, their mood, their needs, their definition of brilliant as their negative opinion is. You can appreciate kindness, of course, but don't hook your self-worth onto it. You need your own internal validation.
I like the movie metaphor the book uses. Your life is your movie.
Yeah, you're the director, the producer, the main star, everyone else. They're secondary characters in your movie. And you're a secondary character in theirs.
So if someone is really mad at me,
they're almost certainly dealing with their own stuff, their own fear, maybe fear of abandonment, fear of failure, fear of not being loved, fear of being wrong. And you just happen to be the convenient excuse for their emotional reaction in that moment. It triggers something in their book of law.
It's not actually about me.
It's about their fear. If you operate from a place of internal peace, from love, as Ruiz would say, if you don't have those same fears active in you, then their anger, their jealousy, their judgment, it just has no place to land. It can't stick.
This agreement goes even deeper, though. The source says we shouldn't even take our own internal voices personally. How does that work?
That's a really subtle but incredibly powerful point. We tend to assume that the running commentary in our heads, especially the negative stuff, the self-judgment, the self-doubt, is our true self speaking.
This is just who I am.
Right. But often, according to this view, it's not your authentic self. It's just the noise of the matut. It's the internalized judge reciting lines from the book of law you inherited as a child. It's old programming running.
So I don't have to believe everything I think.
Absolutely not. You have the sovereign right, the power to observe those internal voices and decide whether or not to believe them, whether or not to agree with them, no matter how loud or insistent they are. You don't have to take even your own mind's chatter personally.
Practicing this agreement, then, it really stops us from setting ourselves up for so much unnecessary pain and suffering.
Completely. You stop needing to place your identity, your value, your emotional stability in the hands of others, or even in the random thoughts generated by your own conditioned mind.
You only need to trust
Your own ability to make responsible choices for yourself. Remember, Ruiz emphasizes you are never responsible for the actions of others, only for your own. This agreement helps you live that truth.
Okay, so the first agreement cleans up our words, our output. The second protects us from taking in others' poison, their input. The third agreement seems to target the communication process itself. Don't make assumptions.
Exactly. This one tackles the root cause of so much misunderstanding, conflict, and drama in our lives and relationships.
Why do we make assumptions in the first place? It seems like such a basic error.
We do it because the reasoning mind, the part of us that likes logic and explanations, absolutely hates a vacuum. It hates not knowing.
It needs an answer, any answer.
It has this compulsive need to explain everything, to connect the dots, to feel like it understands, because that feels safer than uncertainty. So if there's a gap in our understanding, if we don't know why someone did something or what something means,
We just fill the gap ourselves.
we invent an explanation, an assumption. And here's the crucial, dangerous step. We then immediately believe our assumption is the absolute truth. We don't even question it.
And that leads directly to
Misunderstandings, jumping to conclusions, taking things the wrong way, which then fuels gossip, arguments, and a whole fresh batch of emotional poison being sent back and forth. We constantly sacrifice clear, actual communication for the false comfort of our own assumptions.
And this habit must be absolutely lethal in relationships, right? Especially intimate ones. We just
It's
assume our partners, friends, family members are mind readers.
Oh, it's catastrophic. Think about how often this happens. We assume our partner knows exactly what we want, what we need, why we're upset, without us ever actually telling them.
We expect them to just know.
We expect them to react the way we would react, to understand our hints, to anticipate our needs based on our internal book of law. And when they inevitably fail to meet these unspoken, completely imagined demands,
We feel hurt, disappointed, angry.
and we say things like, "You should have known," or "If you really loved me, you would have." We punish them for failing a test we never told them they were taking.
There's another really toxic assumption mentioned in relationships. My love will change this person.
That one is responsible for so much heartbreak. It's presented as perhaps the most dangerous lie we tell ourselves about love.
Why a lie? Can't love inspire change?
It might inspire someone, but your love, no matter how strong or pure you think it is, cannot magically change another person against their will or without their conscious participation. People change only if and when they choose to change for their own reasons.
So what is real love, according to this perspective?
Real love, in the Toltec sense described here, means accepting others exactly as they are right now without needing them to change to fit your expectations or your book of law.
If someone is trying to change you,
They don't truly love you. They might love the idea of you, the potential they see, the version of you they've created in their own mind's assumptions. But they aren't loving the real person in front of them.
and we make assumptions about ourselves too, don't we? That could be just as damaging.
Absolutely. We assume I can do this or I can't do that, often based on past experiences or fear, rather than present reality. We overestimate ourselves, leading to failure and self-judgment. Or we underestimate ourselves and never even try, missing out on life.
We lie to ourselves about what we truly want.
All the time, just to maintain internal peace or avoid conflict. We see a red flag in a job, a relationship, a project, but we assume, oh, it won't be that bad, or I can handle it, because facing the truth feels too difficult. And when things inevitably go wrong later,
The pain isn't just from the situation, it's from the broken assumption.
it's from the lie we told ourselves. The disappointment stems from the gap between our assumption and reality.
Okay, so if the problem's making assumptions because we hate uncertainty, the cure seems obvious, but maybe not easy.
The cure is elegantly simple in concept. Ask questions.
Just ask.
Yes. Find the courage to ask questions until communication is absolutely crystal clear. Even if it feels awkward, even if it makes you feel vulnerable, even if you're afraid of the answer, don't guess. Ask.
Don't settle for the easy, comfortable assumption.
No. Keep asking, what did you mean by that? What do you need from me? Why did you do that? Can you explain that further? Until there's no room left for misunderstanding.
This really forces us to find our voice, doesn't it? To actually articulate what we need and ask for it directly.
Yes. And crucially, you also have to be willing to clearly state your needs and wants, and be willing to hear the answer from others, whether it's a yes or a no, without taking it personally.
So when you stop making assumptions and start asking questions instead,
Your communication automatically becomes cleaner, clearer, free of that emotional poison generated by misunderstandings, and as a side effect, your word naturally becomes more impeccable because you're dealing with truth instead of fiction.
it feels like if everyone just practiced this one agreement.
The vast majority of interpersonal conflicts, from silly arguments between couples to office politics to maybe even international disputes, would simply dissolve. They're often built entirely on faulty assumptions.
All right, so the first three agreements give us this powerful framework for cleaning up our internal world and our communication. The fourth one, always do your best, feels different. It's about action.
It is. It's the engine, really. It's what takes the other three from nice ideas and turns them into ingrained habits, into a way of living. It's the integrator.
But always do your best.
Yeah.
That sounds potentially exhausting. Or like setting yourself up for failure if your best isn't good enough.
But that's where the crucial nuance comes in. Your best is never a fixed, static target. It's not about perfection.
It changes.
Constantly, moment to moment, day to day. Your best depends entirely on your current state. Are you healthy or sick? Rested or exhausted? Focused or distracted? Happy or sad? Your best when you have the flu and only slept 4 hours is going to be drastically different from your best when you're feeling great after a vacation.
Okay, that makes sense. It's relative to the moment.
Exactly. And the agreement has two sides. Do your best, but also do no more than your best. And no less.
What happens if you try to do more than your best? If you push too hard?
That's overdoing. You're using your energy against yourself. You deplete your resources, you burn out, you lose your joy, and paradoxically, you often end up taking longer to reach your goal, or you make mistakes.
And doing less than your best.
That leads straight back into the trap we're trying to escape. You open the door wide for the internal judge to come in with criticism, self-judgment, guilt, and regret. You could have tried harder. You slacked off.
So the goal is this dynamic balance, finding your optimal effort for this moment.
Precisely. And the huge psychological payoff is this. If you genuinely always do your best, given the circumstances of that moment,
You disarm the judge.
completely, you take away its ammunition. If you can look back honestly at any action, any situation, and say to yourself, you know what? I truly did the best I could with the energy and resources I had available at that time, then there's simply no logical ground for guilt or self-recrimination to stand on.
Regret disappears.
It does, because you acted with integrity within your capabilities in that moment. You can learn from it, sure, but you don't need to punish yourself for it.
This reminds me of that story in the book about the Buddhist man. The one who wanted to meditate for 8 hours a day instead of 4.
Yes, it's a perfect illustration of the danger of overdoing, of thinking more is always better. He wanted enlightenment faster, right? So he figured doubling his meditation time would get him there twice as fast.
But the master said,
The master told him, meditating 4 hours a day with joy might take 10 years, but pushing himself to meditate 8 hours a day out of sheer willpower would probably take 20 years.
why? That seems backwards.
Because, the master explained, he would lose his joy. He would only grow tired and resentful. He'd be fighting himself. The core Toltec truth echo here is, we are here to live, to be happy, to love, to enjoy the journey. If your effort, even towards a worthy goal, makes you miserable and kills your joy, you've fundamentally missed the point of being alive.
So the focus shifts. It's not just about the outcome, the reward. It's about doing your best for the sake of the action itself.
Yes, this is a critical shift. Find enjoyment, find satisfaction, find presence in the process. Whether it's working, learning, creating, exercising, even washing the dishes. If you do your best because you enjoy the doing,
You're productive and happy at the same time.
exactly. You stop resisting the action, you stop just enduring it while waiting for the paycheck, the weekend, the promotion, the finish line. When you detach from the reward and focus on doing your best in the moment, the rewards often come anyway, maybe even more easily. But your primary source of satisfaction is the engagement itself.
And this naturally leads to action rather than inaction.
It does, because doing your best is taking action. Action is living fully, embracing the energy of life. Inaction, on the other hand, is often a denial of life, usually born from fear, like being paralyzed, sitting terrified in front of the TV, afraid to make a move.
Taking action on an idea, even a simple one, is what creates results.
Think of Forrest Gump. Ruiz uses him as an example. He wasn't intellectually brilliant, but he fully committed to action. When he decided to run, he just ran, doing his best. He wasn't overthinking the complex outcomes. He focused on the act of doing his best in that moment, and life responded.
So any action, even mundane ones, can become a ritual, a puja.
Yes, a ritual of honoring life, of expressing love through action. You can transform any task. If you're washing dishes, you do your best, not frantically rushing to get it over with, but maybe feeling the warm water, appreciating the clean plates, giving your full attention and love to that simple task.
Or showering becomes.
A ritual of cleansing, yes, but also of giving love, respect, and healing energy to your own body, recognizing it as this incredible sacred vessel, a manifestation of the divine tonal and nagual.
It seems like this fourth agreement really ties the others together and makes them sustainable. It creates a kind of positive feedback loop.
It's exactly that, a flywheel effect. You don't have to suddenly be perfect at the first 3 agreements overnight. That would be impossible and just set you up for the judge.
You just have to do your best at practicing them.
Precisely. Always do your best at being impeccable with your word. Always do your best at not taking things personally. Always do your best at not making assumptions. And by consistently applying your best effort, however that looks day to day,
The old habits naturally get weaker.
they lose their power.
Yeah.
The neural pathways for misusing the word, for reacting personally, for jumping to conclusions, they start to atrophy from lack of use. The new pathways, the ones aligned with the agreements, get stronger. Practice doesn't make perfect, remember.
Practice makes the master.
Exactly. And crucially, if you stumble, if you break an agreement, which you will, especially at first, doing your best means you just acknowledge it, learn from it, maybe forgive yourself if needed, and then you simply stand up, dust yourself off, and start again from that moment.
Without letting the judge beat you up and turn you into a victim about it.
That's the key. You refuse to give the judge that satisfaction. You just keep doing your best.
So practicing these 4 agreements consistently, always doing our best, the ultimate aim is to regain our true freedom, isn't it? To become, as a book says, wild and free again, but this time with wisdom.
Yes, it's not about returning to some naive state of nature, but reclaiming our authentic self, guided now by awareness and these powerful agreements. And this path requires the mindset of a warrior.
A warrior. Fighting what?
Not fighting external enemies, no. The Toltec warrior is engaged in an internal war, a war against the parasite in the mind.
The parasite being.
That whole fear-based belief system we inherited, the judge, the victim, the book of law, all the limiting agreements. It's described as a kind of psychic entity that literally feeds on negative emotions, on drama, on suffering. It wants to keep us trapped in hell because that's its food source.
So the war is for our own minds, for sovereignty.
Exactly. The right to use your own mind, direct your own energy, live your own life, create your own dream, free from the parasite's control.
And a key discipline for the warriors mentioned. Refraining versus repressing emotions. What's the difference?
It's a crucial distinction. Repression is what the victim does. Out of fear of judgment, fear of consequences, we swallow our emotions. We push down anger, sadness, even joy sometimes, because we're afraid to show them.
And that poison just festers inside.
It does. It builds up, causing illness, depression, anxiety, or eventually exploding inappropriately. Refraining, on the other hand, is the warrior's conscious discipline.
How does refraining work?
It means you feel the emotion fully, you acknowledge it, but you don't react blindly from it. You hold the energy of the emotion, containing it with awareness, and then you choose the right time, the right place, and the right impeccable way to express it or channel it constructively.
So the warrior isn't emotionless.
Not at all. The warrior feels everything, but is not ruled by fear or by uncontrolled emotional outbursts. They have mastery over their own energy.
Okay, but after decades of living under the parasite's rule, our minds are, well, pretty wounded, right?
Yeah.
The book uses the image of infected skin. How do you heal those deep wounds?
The primary medicine offered is the truth. Facing the truth about our agreements, about the lies we've believed, acts like a scalpel. It opens up those old, painful, infected wounds so they can finally be cleaned.
But opening wounds hurts. What's the actual healing agent?
Forgiveness. This is presented as absolutely essential. We have to forgive. Not necessarily because the people who hurt us deserve forgiveness. That's almost irrelevant.
We forgive for ourselves.
Yes, it's an act of radical self-compassion. We forgive because we are tired of carrying the burden of resentment, tired of continuing to poison ourselves with the memory of what they did. We're tired of letting their past actions continue to control our present happiness. We forgive to set ourselves free.
Who do we need to forgive?
Everyone who has ever hurt us, starting with those closest to us, parents, siblings, partners, friends. But ultimately, Ruiz suggests we need to forgive God.
Forgive God.
Forgive life itself for not being the way we assumed it should be, for not following our personal book of law. When we can forgive life for being what it is, then we can finally forgive ourselves for not being perfect. And that's when true self-acceptance begins.
How do you know if you've truly forgiven someone or yourself?
The test is simple. Can someone mention the person, or can you recall the event? Can someone metaphorically touch that old wound and it no longer causes that sharp, painful emotional reaction? Does it still trigger the judge and victim? If the pain is gone, if the emotional charge is neutralized, then you know you have truly forgiven. The denial system is gone, the wound is clean.
This leads towards the final, maybe the most challenging part of the Toltec path described. The initiation of the dead. That sounds ominous.
It sounds intense, yes, but it's about symbolic death. The death of the old you, the death of the parasite, the death of the dream of hell you were living in. It requires immense courage because it involves facing the angel of death.
Facing our own mortality.
Yes, but more than that. The angel of death becomes a teacher. Its profound paradoxical teaching is this. It teaches us how to be truly intensely alive by making us confront the reality that life is finite and precious. If you knew, truly knew, you only had 1 week left to live, 1 day, 1 hour, how would you live it? Would you waste that precious time replaying past hurts, indulging the judge, making assumptions, taking things personally?
Probably not. You'd want to live fully, love fully.
You'd want to be completely present, right? Express the love you feel now, take the risks you've been avoiding, be unapologetically yourself. The angel of death teaches us to live every single day as if it's our last, because in a very real sense, this moment is all we ever truly have.
So surrendering to the angel of death means letting go of the past.
Letting go of each past moment as it dies. The angel of death takes the dead part, the moment that just passed. By staying present, by letting go, we starve the parasite, because the parasite only feeds on the past, on regret, resentment, memory, guilt, or on fear of the future. It cannot survive in the present moment.
And the reward for facing this, for letting the old self die,
is the resurrection, arising anew. Not as an innocent, naive child, but as a wise warrior, wild and free again, but now with awareness, with discipline, with love. Finally free to use your own mind, your own power, to create the life you choose.
And this resurrection leads directly to the new dream, heaven on earth.
Yes. Heaven isn't someplace you go later. It's not a destination. It's a state of mind, a way of being that you choose to create right here, right now, your personal nirvana, your promised land.
And it's achievable by living these agreements.
By transforming your foundational agreements from fear-based ones to love-based ones. Imagine, Ruiz asks, just imagine for a moment, living without the fear of judgment from yourself or others. Being free to express the love that you are without inhibition. Taking risks not out of desperation, but out of joy. Fully accepting yourself exactly as you are and accepting others as they are.
That sounds like heaven.
That is the potential. It isn't just a fantasy. It's presented as entirely possible for anyone who chooses to do the work to change their agreements.
Which loops us right back to the power of choice, doesn't it?
At the end of the day, yes, the source material is very clear on this. The only reason you suffer is because you choose to suffer by continuing to believe in and live by the old fear-based agreements. And likewise, the only reason you are happy is because you choose to be happy by consciously adopting and living by new, life-affirming agreements, like these four.
We have the choice. Suffer our destiny or enjoy our destiny. Live in hell or create heaven.
The choice is always ours.
The knowledge is out there. It's available, like in this book. But actually adopting these agreements, making them real, that takes serious commitment, doesn't it? A strong will.
Oh, absolutely. The old agreements, the parasite, they have inertia. They'll fight back hard. Your own mind will resist. And the entire collective dream of the planet, the mitote outside, is constantly trying to pull you back into the old patterns, the fear, the drama, the gossip.
You have to be a warrior.
A relentless, but also compassionate warrior, ready to stand up every single time you fall, every time you break an agreement, without once giving your internal judge the satisfaction of turning you back into a helpless victim. That continuous, gentle, persistent effort, that is the core of always doing your best.
So let's leave our listeners with this. If the most important agreements you'll ever make are the ones you make with yourself, and if you commit, starting now, to being truly impeccable with your word to yourself.
Which means speaking truth and love to yourself.
What specific lie, what single fear-based agreement you hold about your own worth or your capabilities or your future? What one lie can you identify and choose to break today?
What new, truthful, loving agreement can you make with yourself instead? That single decision to consciously challenge one deep-seated lie and affirm one simple, powerful truth about yourself that might just be the most powerful act of a warrior you can perform right now. It's the first step on the path to your own resurrection.